She's a winner.
And welcome to the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show, where you take enlightened entrepreneurs, coaches, and influencers together to discuss cutting-edge topics in the world of relationships, culture, business, and spirituality. And here's your host, Miss Carol Boston.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show. Now, those of you who follow me know what? You're a weather girl, so I'm looking outside here in Fort Lauderdale, and it's kind of cloudy. We've been having some typical this time of year afternoon showers. We've been setting, are you ready? Record high morning lows. Does that make sense? Record high lows, which means when I got up at 5 o'clock this morning, it was still 85 degrees from yesterday. It never cooled off. So that's a record high low. Let me know where you're chiming in from and put it in the comments and let me know what the weather's like where you are. For those of you who live here in the States, maybe those of you who follow me from overseas don't realize that a hurricane actually hit the United States in Texas just a couple of 3 days ago, and now they're in a heat wave. So not only did everything flood, over 2 million people, 2,100,000 people have no electric. They have no AC. And it is hot as hell. You know, you got that going on. You got the fires going on out in California that are burning up hundreds of thousands of acres. Then you got the rain. Have you ever wondered how come it doesn't just rain where the fires are? Is it only me that does that? If you're watching me, put it in the comments. Do you ever think about that? Like, come on, God, how come it can't pour? How come we can't take a hurricane to California? Let's put out all those fires, 19,000 acres, and the ones that are in New Mexico. And it just makes you wonder, doesn't it? We have such wide, vast disparity of different weather just in our country. Imagine all the other countries around the world, what they're going through as well. So I know people don't believe in global warming, but it's happening. The hurricane that hit here, come on, you know I love the Weather Channel. The hurricane that hit here is the first hurricane of its magnitude to hit this early in the season. The Atlantic waters and the Gulf waters are so warm that it's conducive to more and more storms. So if you like the weather, you're in the right place. We're not going to talk about the weather all day. Actually, I was just speaking with my amazing assistant, and I think I've been sharing the last 3 or 4 weeks that I'm in discussions with the people on my team to not only change the name of this show, we're going to change the format of this show a bit, change where it's going, and going to make sure that not only do we continue to do teaching and training here, but that we have more guests come on that have different areas of expertise than I do so that they can pour into you as well. If you have any ideas for a great guest, like, oh my God, if Carol interviewed this person, I would definitely show up and I would bring all my friends. Put it in the comments, send me a private message, reach out to Max, who owns this platform, and say, look, go get this person to interview. This is what I want to learn from them, right? Speaking of learning, the other day, I was sharing with someone about, you know, how we challenge sometimes, right, to make really good decisions. And there was a reporter who interviewed Oprah. How many of you know who Oprah is? Come on. Everybody knows Oprah, right? And a reporter said, how did you become so successful? She looks at him and she says, from making good decisions. And he said, well, how did you get so good at making good decisions? And she said, from making poor decisions. Powerful, right? I was coaching a client today that's so afraid to step out because not going to do it perfect and all this judgment and worried about other people judging her. I said, they don't know your area of expertise. Their judgment's not about you. It's about them, right? We get to step out and try things. We don't have to be married to them. I've helped coaches over the last several years, and I tell them, you don't have to be married to that niche. I wasn't always called a leadership and sales empowerment coach. You get to try it out. See how it fits. It's like dating. You get to date it, right? Same thing goes with ideas and new things that we want to try on, new values. Just started an intensive 13-week program, and the first thing we were challenge to do for our week 1 homework is they gave us a list of hundreds and hundreds of values, and you could only pick 10. Let me tell you, that's hard to do, really hard to do. But what it did is it put me on a discovery of actually researching, well, what's the difference between gratefulness and gratitude? Because they're both on the list. Gratitude, I chose gratitude. It's one of my top 10 values. Those of you who follow me know that. And those of you who know me intimately know I've been through some hell and high water in the last 5 years and still grateful. Trusting in the process, taking the next step, getting up every day, knowing in the end it's all going to work out. Because all we really have is what? This moment. And if we're negative or have a negative mindset at this moment, we've just lost this moment that we never get back. So the difference between gratitude and gratefulness is reactive, number one. Gratitude is proactive. Gratitude is an attitude. I said, that's me. Yes, I can be grateful for a lot of things, but that's a reactive response to something happening. Whereas gratitude is a choice. Those of you who have heard me talk or teach or train or have been a client of mine, we talk about how there's power in choice. Only when you own that you're choosing can you then make a different choice if you don't like the results that you're getting. So it's okay to have made a poor decision, right? It gets to be okay. I wrote myself a couple of notes here today because one of the things in leadership is that we get to understand and own that we're 100% responsible for everything that happens. Doesn't mean we created it. It means we're operating from level 4 responsibility, level 4 leadership. Because when we own it, then we're in a position of power to do something about it or to change it. The other thing I was thinking about this week is those of you who know me, when I first learned about empowering questions almost 10 years ago, and I'm determined to master them, and I've been working to do that. I was first introduced to them by a lady named Nirka. Now, I don't even know her last name. I have a copy of her book and she signed it. I've been on a retreat with her. Still don't know if she has a last name. Pretty interesting, right? Oh, she's half Cuban from Miami, Florida, as a matter of fact. I met her. She was living out in Oregon. Now she's in Colorado. And so anytime I have an opportunity to go back into training with her, I do. And one of the things that she told the story that I hadn't heard her talk about before. Now, I say you can't read the label when you're inside the jar. And we're all in a jar, right? That's why we all get to have a good coach, somebody who's outside of our jar who can see our label. She says it a little bit differently. Is you can't see the picture when you're inside the frame. And she will literally have an empty frame and pull it in over her head when she's doing her talks. Oh my goodness. Hello, Marie Murtho LaPlante, accountability partner. What in the world are we being accountability for? I haven't seen or heard from you in years, but I'm so glad you're here. Let me know how you're doing in the comments. How's your new office going in Boca? I guess it's not even new anymore. You've had that office for a couple of years now, right? And who else is here? Ike Ofuebo. Ike, greetings, my friend. I was on Ike interviewed me on his show many years ago. Marie's laugh out loud, right? Some kind of accountability. She says, I'm well. Fantastic. Ike, are you still in the UK? Let me know where you're chiming in from. Earlier, what you missed, and you might want to go back and watch hashtag replay. We're about 10 minutes into the show so far, but I've been in the process of speaking with my team. We're going to be changing the title of the show and a little bit of the format and what it's going to be geared towards. And we're looking at the reframe code. Love to get your feedback on that. Those of you who know me know I'm the queen of reframe. I teach and train on empowering questions, how to get the answers that you really want. And I am going through my second coaching certification program for a phenomenal sales and communication system called Bank. Crack my code. And in it, you understand that it's not personal. It's personality. And you can learn how to grow the sales in your business by 300%. It's patented, just received a second patent, scientifically validated. And the lady who invented it, as a matter of fact, just got back, well, not just got back, maybe 6 weeks ago from teaching it to the United Nations. Hello. They get to learn to communicate well, right? Just like the rest of us. Ike says, yeah, yes, I'm residing in the UK now. Fantastic. Marie says, the office has become my thriving space. I totally understand that. I miss having an office to go to. That's something I'm looking to change here come 2025. I love getting up and going to an office, especially if it's an office within an office, right, where you get to see other people and take breaks and be involved in team things. I love that. So I'm glad to hear you're doing well. Ike, let me know what's up in your world as well. So one of the things, Nirka, the story that she told, she talks about how everything we do, we get to do with intention. She said, do you set the intention for every conversation that you have? In other words, do you know the outcome that you want to get from having the conversation so that you can have the right context for the conversation? The context is what? The frame, the jar. And then that impacts the content you bring into the conversation or the frame. So she's telling a story about she drove a Mercedes. She'd had a Mercedes for several years and decided one day she was just going to go drive a Porsche. I'm going to go drive a Porsche. And so she sits, before they go for the ride, the guy goes, no, we got to talk first before I let you drive this car. And so they chat about it, and he tells her, he looks at her Mercedes. He knows that the Porsche and the Mercedes ride and drive and feel very differently. And he did an incredible, awesome job of setting the frame for her before she ever got in the car behind the wheel. And he talked about how this car, the Porsche, hugs the road. It is one with the road. You are going to feel the road. You're going to delight in the road. And on and on and on he went. And he gets through with his whole spiel. And he's like, you sure you're ready to drive this car? Yeah, I'm ready, she says. Right? He set the frame. Now, one of the differences between a Mercedes and a Porsche is when he says you feel the road, you feel every frickin' bump you go over, like muscle cars. You feel everything. Whereas a Mercedes has different suspension, different shocks. You can go over the same bumps and barely feel them. That's what she was used to. That's what she liked. He set the frame for her. She got in that car and they went out on some back road and they were speeding and he was talking to her, and all of a sudden they came into a really rocky, bumpy place in the road. And it was whoa, 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 whoa. Had he not set the context, had he not set the frame, she said she would have been like, what the hell am I doing? I'm going back to my Mercedes. But she was so excited to be feeling the road. And she screamed out loud, yes, yes, I'm one with the road. She said, I ended up buying the car because he set the frame. How are you setting the frame? Not only for your sales conversations in business, but your personal conversations. Are you going into them with intention? Marie says, I was reluctant to make that move, but I did it and it's been going well. I am so happy to hear that. So let me know what you think about that story and setting the frame and the context, right? One of the things Empowering Questions do is it helps you get inside somebody else's frame so you can see their map of the world. Because we don't see the world as it is, we see it as we are. Just like we don't describe what we see what we describe. It's powerful. Think about that. Put 5 people on a corner. Have them all watch the same car wreck. Have them all be interviewed by the police. You're going to get 4 or 5 completely different stories. My perception is going to be very different from somebody who's never been in a bad car wreck. I have. I'm probably going to look at that thing and go, oh my God, it was horrible. And I'm going to start describing it. Maybe not as it actually happened, but as I see it in my perspective, in my frame. The guy next to me may have never been in a car. He said, that wasn't so bad. And he gives the police a completely different account. One of the things that bank in this communication system does is it allows you to speak in to the dominant code of the person you're talking to. Powerful. As a matter of fact, something happened just last week. I don't know if I mentioned it last week on the show, but it's worth repeating. Last Monday, we kicked off again the 14-week series for this coaching circuit. There's so much information. I'm going through it a second time. Trust me, I'm going to work to become an expert because it's amazing, the results. The people who are really, really good, I just watch them and amaze it. Weave in and out of conversations, in and out of every code in one conversation without batting an eye. So my trainer, Michelle, my mentor, was talking about A's. And she was whatever. And then she went over, where's my phone? She picked up her phone. This is on the training. And she says, for example, if you ever see me pick up my phone on a Zoom, you know you've lost me. You've totally lost me. Fast forward to the next day. I have my first coaching session with one of Andy Enriquez's mastermind clients. And two things she said. We hadn't even sent her the link to crack her code, right? When we opened up, she goes, oh yeah, I heard you speak in the group last week and you got right to the point. She said, that's my coach. That's the coach for me. You get right to the point. That's a high A. Don't want a lot of details. Get to the point. They make quick decisions. At the end of our coaching session, we were talking about the bank code, and she and I are going to have a conversation about hers. She cracked her code. And without missing a beat, she goes, yeah, that's one thing about me, Carol. You'll know if you've lost me because I'll pick up my phone on a Zoom. I couldn't believe it. The very thing the coach, the mentor, the trainers described was exactly what this person said she would do. Fascinating. I coached a different one of his clients today and had her crack her code. And her third code is B. B is her stress code. Keep following me, you'll learn about these. Now, she had just said to me, several of the things that were holding her up from being successful was lack of confidence, not knowing that she was worth what she wanted to charge, fear of people judging her, perfectionism, on and on and on. So I explained to her that that's her high B, that's her stress code. B's got to get it right. They want to have all the I's dotted, all the T's crossed. They want to know the steps. They want to have all the rules. They like to stay inside the box. They're about credentials and titles, authority. So she's sitting in her stress code, taking no action. And as I began to share with her that that's what her code was and some things she could do to get out of that, she was like, oh my God. I never knew that. This has been so valuable. Powerful, powerful tool. Marie, have you or Ike ever heard of a system, communication system called Bank, B-A-N-K? If you're interested in cracking your code, send me a private message or put it on in the comments that you want to crack your code. You'll get a free report about how you're truly showing up in the world, and then we can have a conversation about how that impacts what you're doing. I may have said this last week. I might say it often because it's powerful. The Chally group did a massive study and found out that 82% of all people only buy from someone who has their same number one dominant code. Think about it. If you're only selling to the people who have your dominant code, you're leaving the other three codes on the table. That's how Bank can help you grow your sales by 300%. You learn to speak to the other codes. Now you know why I'm going through the training twice. It's a lot. Got notes and I'm practicing. It's a lot of fun though. One of the things I was able to share with her that I'll share with you is that oftentimes we don't want to share what we're going through because we think we're alone, or we think nobody's ever been through exactly what we're going through. Write this down. What's most personal is truly most general. If you're willing to talk about it, and get it out in the open, you'll find that you are not alone. How many times have I had y'all put that in the comments for me? Put Yana, Y-A-N-A in the comments. Somebody's watching, put Y-A-N-A in the comments, right? You are not alone. We all get to know that and have that assurance that we're not alone. And oftentimes we overlook the little things, don't we? We're looking for the big things, the big goal, the big picture, the big ahas. But what about the little ones? Well, I'm going to put on my glasses. And as you know, we read out of our Ayanna von Zant book until today. Today, we're going to talk about the little ones. Thank you, putting Yana in there, letting me know that I'm not alone. Appreciate it. So, Ayanna von Zant. I will gain more understanding when I realize that little creatures can teach us big lessons. Few people appreciate mice. To most of us, they are dirty, annoying little creatures who destroy property and invade our personal space. A mouse will make its way through the smallest of openings to come into your house and help itself to the best you have to offer, leaving its droppings behind for you to clean up. Ever try to catch a mouse? I have. They will dodge your broom as they scurry into a hole that you never even knew existed. They will leave you out of breath and out of control. Then there is another side of the mouse that you may have never considered. Because mice are so small, they have the ability to get into places and to see things that other creatures can't. In other words, mice see opportunities that other creatures miss. There's an aha moment. At the same time, mice are a source of food for many other animals, and for this reason, they must be very careful about how they move, where they move, and when they move. They don't eat from every hand. They must first know you and feel comfortable around you. Mice know they must be flexible in order to get into and out of tight places safely. How flexible are we? What areas of our life are we inflexible and we're rigid? And it's like, no, it's got to be my way. And it gets us into trouble, right? The mouse teaches us to pay attention to details, things like cheese in a trap. Mice know that there are details which, if ignored, could cost you your hide. How many of us have ever said, oh, I didn't see that red flag? Oh my God, I got blindsided. I never saw that coming. It's in the little things, folks. We get to pay attention to the little details, not just the big ones. Caution in movement, focus of direction, scrutiny of association, and flexibility. The mouse teaches us that it is possible to move in and out of the experiences of our lives without being trapped. The key is to be aware of what you are doing at all times. Until today, you may not have had a healthy appreciation of the skills of mice. Just for today, set aside any dislike of little creeping things and instead examine how their example could help you. Today, I'm devoted to moving with caution, focusing on what I'm doing, and to scrutinizing everything and everyone, including myself. I'm going to repeat this one sentence. The mouse teaches us that it is possible to move in and out of the experiences of our lives without being trapped. How many times have you said, there's no way out? I don't know what I'm going to do. That's it. There is no other answer. That's it. Wouldn't it be wonderful if there was another way to view it? And that's one of the things I'm really, really good at helping my clients do, is seeing things from a new perspective, giving them new insights. And then they get into action without judgment. And we look at the results without judgment. We say, first we celebrate the fact that we got into action. How many of you are celebrating that you just get into action? Are you waiting till you make your quota? Are you waiting till you make your 100th sale? Right? It's the daily practice of gratitude that brings more abundance into our lives. More abundance. What are you choosing? I would encourage you to take a sticky note. Write it down. What am I choosing today? Or what am I choosing right now? Keep it in front of you. Keep it on your computer. Keep it on your bathroom mirror. Keep it on your refrigerator. How about putting it on the dashboard of your car? What am I choosing? Am I choosing to pick up my phone and text while I'm driving? I was behind a guy today. I guarantee you he was texting. He was going slower than I wanted to go, and I didn't care. I stayed behind him. I didn't want to be in front of him. Every time he was on his phone. He was choosing. When you know it would benefit you to be doing something for your work, your company, or your job, but you're scrolling on TikTok. What am I choosing? And then we get to ask what's underneath that choice and what are the ramifications, the consequences of making that choice. Do you have solid boundaries in place? Not just in your relationships, both personal and professional, but in your business, do you have boundaries? You see, there is no boundary without a consequence. If there's no consequence, it's not a boundary, right? We're going to delve into that a little bit more in the future. It's powerful work to really look at where we will draw a line in the sand, if you will. And then something comes along and we'll move that line back a little bit. Well, maybe this time. And we all have certain things that are absolutely stakes in the ground that we don't move. And then we have other ones that we move all the time. And we don't keep our word to ourselves. We're going to talk about ways to improve that, because once we can keep our word to ourselves, keeping our word to other people comes a whole lot easier. Our personal integrity goes up. Our value increases. Our self-confidence increases because we trust ourselves to do what we say we're going to do. We're here to change lives, folks, to impact lives. And it all starts with choice. Thank you, Ike, for coming. Thank you, Marie, for coming. Thank you, Aruba, for being here and doing such a great job on the technical side and producing this show. If you've got any feedback on a potential new name for the show, the one that we've come up with so far is the Reframe Code, because I am the queen of Reframe, who's going to be teaching people what it means to crack the code and the power of learning the system of bank in communications, both personally and professionally. Come back and see us again. Bring a friend. And once again, if you have somebody that you want me to interview on the show, private message me, put it in the comments, reach out to Max, who owns this platform that this show is produced on. Ike says, thank you. Nice. Thank you, Ike. It's always great to have you here. Let's connect again, maybe do a Zoom. It'd be great to hear your voice and really, really catch up. I know it's been a while. Blessings to everybody. Go in peace. Make it a great week. Choose gratitude. It can change everything. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Into the Entrepreneur Show, brought to you by Life Coaching Today magazine, empowering your health, your business, your community, your life. Check out the latest issue today at lifecoachingtoday.com. Everyone here at the True Awesome Network asks you to please subscribe, like, comment, and spread awesome.